This is a car that my dad, Mickey Thompson, built in 1968 with a ton of California hot rodders and drag racers, and to me it's one of the nicest things that certainly ever came out of any of my dad's work. It got run in 1968, but it got rained out, and so the car is set for basically 46 years, and for the last 6 years now I've been rebuilding it, and last year we got to go to Bonnevillle with it for the first time, and on the second full pass the thing ran 419 miles an hour, so it was worth all the work. But we broke on the return run. To get a record at Bonnevillle, you have to do it twice. You have to go up and back, and they average at 2 speeds. So we didn't get a record, and then of course this year got rained out. Front engine sits here, and this is a 4-wheel drive car, so the front engine sits in the chassis backwards. So you got engine, then you got clutches, then you got transmissions, then you got a rear end. It's the front rear end, and then you got the wheel and tire, and down under here you can just barely see the front wheel. And then up here on the very front is a fuel tank, and we use approximately 54 gallons of fuel to go 5 miles. So you use really a lot of fuel. And then as you start to turn around back, you come back behind the front engine, and then you got into the driver's cockpit, which is very, very, very tiny. If I gained 5 pounds of weight, I probably wouldn't fit in the car. It's very, very, very compact. And then you go back right behind the driver, and then you have the rear engine. Now the rear engine sits in the car like it would normally sit in a car. So you got the rear engine, then you got, once again, the clutches, transmissions, and everything, and back to the rear tire. So the front engine drives the front wheels, and the rear engine drives the rear wheels. And then from there you come back and you have oil tanks and stuff in here, and then the parachutes sit right here, and then they come out right out the very back. And there's 2 parachutes, high speed and low speed, but so far we've only had to use 1. That's explaining, what is it? That's 47 years of car right here. So car my dad started in 1968, and hopefully if we have good conditions at Bonnevillle next year, then I'll get to finish it. That's it, very cramped, very, when you have a helmet on and a Hans device in here, you can't turn your head this way or this way, so the switches all have to, the left-hand side switches have to be done with the right hand, and the right-hand side have to be done with the left side, so it's, once you're in here and it's closed, it's a pretty, yeah, it's a pretty cool place to be. When it starts, it has to start on alcohol, not nitromethane. And so we start it externally. There's a plug up here that's for the front engine and the rear engine, and a separate fuel tank that's outside the car. Then we have, in here we have fuel pumps for the front engine and for the rear engine. And then we got fire extinguisher for, it sets off everything in the car. And then here we have parachute 1 and parachute 2. This is the brake, it's a hand brake. Then down below it has a clutch pedal and a throttle pedal. And then starters for front and rear engine, and magnetos, switches, or which would be the key for the front engine and the rear engine. And then the only other switch in here is air, oh yeah, and shifters. So this is a radio button, and then this is shifter from first to second and second to third. It's a lot of buttons, but not as much as some of the cars nowadays. And then we have a camera that sits here that looks back at me, and then we have another camera that sits right here, and then another camera that sits up there. One looks out the front window, and then one looks out the back. I'll show you how this closes right here. So whoops. Bonneville's not something that a whole lot of people do in this class, which is a 400 mile an hour plus class. So you can't really go ask anybody questions or anything. There's no book. You kind of have to invent everything as you go. But certainly the bitchinest thing I've ever done in my life.